very clear, given they played it 6 times in the regular season, that this is their map. They enjoy playing on it. It's where they feel they can get the best results, even if their track record does not suggest the same.
Well, that's where some of those potential concerns have to come in, right? Not to set things off on a negative note, but if it really is the map that you feel the most confident on, and in playoffs of 6 Masters you struggled that bad and had some quite poor results on it, what does that mean when you're coming in onto the major stage, going against the very best teams in your region? Well, that is what we are yet to see. Kicking things off here with the ban phase, starting off with a Capital and a Hibana.
I think PK are just a very, very masochistic team.
All right, then.
They're just
well, that's their business.
They're just like beating themselves up on Clubhouse, it seems like, to be honest. I'm hoping with all the prep time they've had ahead of this, though, they've got a good idea in mind, and one of those things, apparently, from the side of PK is to ban away the Jaeger. We've been seeing Wamaya as more of the target ban for the most part for some teams. Very rarely do we see a Jaeger ban come through, but we all know he is pretty much a must-pick when he is available. Here, though, he shall not be. That's a very interesting one. Kaid also going to follow through. Not as strong when you have a Thatcher still available to you, but of course it may well force out that pick. If it is available, it being banned away may mean that we don't see Thatcher all that much on this map.
Well, and that's one of the things that we have noticed in this season so far, is the fact that regardless of the fact that a lot of teams may not choose to ban Thatcher, many teams, even when he is available, opt not to play him anyway. So whether or not that will happen, yet to be seen. It looks like Juicy is going to be picking up that operator. And
I know why.
Well, yeah, there you go. You've got the Mute, you've got the Mozzie, you've got to deal with all of this various utility.
It's my favorite.
It is your favorite.
Big fan. I remember breaking down a round of it and doing a video on it because it was just so interesting to see a team being so risky. Like someone proposing, saying, oh, you're in basement, it's always played around 3 hatches.
It being the SSG style roam, by the way.
Exactly, being that, yeah. The SSG roam, as it's popularly called, a lot of teams are now playing it all around the world. But we're in that sort of time frame now where teams are finding different ways to deal with it, because most people who are naysayers of the strat will turn around and say, oh, just rush blue, just rush dirt, whatever you choose. Some teams are playing things like the Legion, like Capcan, to deal with those rushes and those aggressive plays. The Maestro Fool, you're having Mexican food. I was about to say it's still breakfast time here, but I'm aware in other parts of the world.
I'm always down for Mexican food.
You are a Mexican fiend, is how I describe you.
Yeah, I love it. But no, just going back to what you were saying, you were noting how the SSG style roam has begun to start failing, and actually that happened for SSG. They lost a round of Clubhouse, or game of Clubhouse to, I believe it was Disrupt Gaming. So the point is, this is one of those strategies, the options of strategies that is starting to be picked apart a little bit by a number of these teams. So whether or not Knights are going to be able to successfully do that here against Ōkami does remain to be seen as they begin in with their attack.
So what they're doing here is breaking open that castle barricade, because what you can see here from the main entrance, if you peek just inside, you're going to see where the drop is. And you know if someone comes down from top floor, it's always going to be the Mute and the Mozzie. Wait for them to drop through the hatch. You pick them off as they go through. Normally you need someone upstairs to try and apply some pressure. And some teams, especially in places like the Nordic Championship, lent towards something like a Monty, pushing through Garage and forcing those 2 defenders to drop quite early on in the round. It all comes down to how much time they waste upstairs, mind you. We're down to about 50 seconds so far, so far so good for the defenders.
It's too early to be seeing a Monty. And Josh on the Zephyr, we saw sneaking up towards... Yeah, well, you know, that's a matter of opinion. Yeah, up towards through Garage, which is very close to where It's Be Jack Daddy on the Mozzie is, as he was based there in CCTV. So if those roamers can get caught out early, then this really would be a good start here for Knights. In goes that lifeline, but it doesn't look like he was able to get anything just yet, and so he's just preparing to send in a second.
I like how they've all taken a bit of inspiration from It Be Style, one of the big fraggers on this team. He is the player to watch out for in this series, to say that, and Juicy's like, no, Des, I'm the one to watch out for, picking up both Cutie and Jack Daddy in one. It's 5 versus 3, and this strategy, as mentioned, this is how you break it apart. You wait for the drop to come through. You pick off 2. The roam is broken, and the defenders who are remaining downstairs are 2 men down. That is the risk versus reward style that you play with this strategy, unfortunately.
And even now, despite the fact that they have moved down and Knights know that they have this advantage, they're still being very thorough with their droning, wanting to be sure that everyone really has moved down. Ōkami are obviously going to have to be relying on those black eye cameras that are around so that they know where this push is going to be coming in from, because of course they are at such a significant disadvantage when it comes to the man count.
dropping into Moto by the looks of it to try and stage their assault from there, and one kill comes in for Ippy, but peeks out there with the C4, gets himself brought down in the process. Dino's going to find that kill. Hayward the next one, and this is Knights in rapid fashion taking round number 1. My, we might say their record on Clubhouse is pretty patchy, shall we say it best, but that first round was anything but. Expertly dealt with the roam, and the execute onto site was very clean and very quick.
Really good decisive start there for Pittsburgh Knights, especially given that we all expressed some kind of doubt for this team. And obviously you have to remember this is the best of the region. So it's not like we were really saying that we expected them to do terribly, but obviously with those playoff results on this map, there were some question marks there. And they're showing so far, just off the back of that first round, that maybe they're going to put some of those concerns to bed. Heading to CCTV and Cash as the second site is Ōkami. This time they are going to be bringing the Bandit. Obviously the Kaid has been banned out, so they can't be electrocloring any of those walls. And so they're going to be relying on the batteries.
I'm really excited to see what happens now there is no Jaeger available. Once that east breach is open, you're going to have grenades singing in left, right, and center, whether it's out of the Zofia, whether it's out of the Maverick, or whether it's out of the Sledge. And this probably leans quite well into this style for Knights, is saying you can't block these 4 frag grenades coming in because we can burn through the Wamai magnets that you have out with things like the flashbangs coming out of Dino. So I'm really keen to see how many frags we see fill the kill feed from frag grenades in this game.
You also have to be aware that oftentimes for this site, you're typically going to be seeing one of the defenders based up on the garage rafters. In this case, I wouldn't be surprised to see if it were the Wamai. You can place the magnets up there, but as you say, there will be no ADS to be able to help protect that player. And once the Wamai is down, those rechargeable magnets aren't going to be available anymore. And if that garage control can be taken by the attackers pretty quickly, like we saw utilized on the last round, that could be a really good point in if Knights decide to play aggressive.
Only one kill in that last round as well for for Ōkami. Hoping for a bit more this time. Players, time to wake up, time to get yourself into the game, boys. I know a couple of rounds, some teams can take a bit of time to get started. But in a game like this, when again, we know the kind of record that both teams have on this map, it's all about these early rounds that you want, especially on the defensive side, because once it switches over, things can get tough very, very quickly. Normally inside a garage, you'd see something like a dot playing up here, something with an ACOG and Echo sometimes might sit there. Not a massive fan personally, would rather you keep those Yokai drones for later in the round, if at all possible. Look how close Joker is holding here in front of the window. If he chooses to peek out at the right time here, or with the C4 in hand, chooses to throw it at the window, he could find Josh, who right now is just sitting on the rappel, watching through that breach and waiting.
You also have to bear in mind as well that from that position there in New Blue, if Dino does decide to move into Garage from here, as he's throwing in the flash to try and deter any movement, but it will only take a very small rotation for Joker to move on forward and potentially catch him out if Ippy isn't in the right position to do so himself. So that does mean there is that extra added protection there for the Garage.
Oh. Hayward's in. We know what he's got in his back pocket. It's grenades. They're in hand, going up for Ippy here. But guess what? There's a magnet. However, nearly ran straight into the magnet itself, but caught the grenade. Not going to find himself getting blown up, but now there's a full-on gunfight. Bit of fisticuffs being brought out, and Hayward's the one who goes low. Juicy equally quite low against Joker, but the kill still goes his way. Second round in a row now. He has found the opening kill for his team.
That does mean, of course, now that potential for the crossfire that I was talking about before is no longer there. Narrowly missing that second frag grenade. But Juicy is very low health, along with Hayward as well. These players who were potentially trying to move in through the garage. Strider is up here on the roof.
This is the problem. You need to be able to kill Ippy here, and I was thinking a couple more frag grenades headed towards Garage would have been the answer, but they choose to take the direct fight itself and lose. Ippy with 2 huge kills. This means the defenders hold Garage, and that push in through the breach is going to be much more difficult. Strider, that's the bad call there. When your team has already lost Garage and you're coming in for the 1 versus 1, it's never going to go in your favor. Massive round from Ippy here with 3 kills for himself. Josh with a wondrous shot through to catch him out. However, it's a 3 versus 1, and with 30 seconds left, no diffuser in hand. We always have a good idea of how these rounds are going to play out. Ōkami taking it in much more decisive fashion, all on the back of Ippy inside a Garage.
Pittsburgh Knights really did commit to going in for the garage push, and Ōkami, as you say, holding strong. Now, he is, of course, one of the newest members of this team and was kind of sold to us as one of the standout players, and he's showing for himself why that is. If he can anchor down like that in the garage and prevent an entire push from being taken by the attacking team, then that's really a point of strength there for Ōkami. And, of course, at the end there, it didn't really matter what Josh was going to try and do. There was those double angles being held up, even once the Wamai had been removed. Basically impossible. I think one of the problems as well is the fact that Strider, both times he's been killed and had the diffuser dropped, it's been in a position that's virtually impossible for anyone else on the team to pick up. So you kind of have to just rely on, I guess we got to kill everyone at this point.
Just rely on killing everyone. Yeah, and in a 1 versus 3, it's probably not the most attainable thing in the world. It's the small things that I keep on saying throughout this whole week so far is it's the small mistakes that happen in rounds that ultimately lead to the outcome of a game. It's not down to 1 map versus 5 and clearing everyone out. It's not down to flawlessly executed strats. It's often small mistakes, and this replay on your screen, in my mind, was another of them. Trying to take this trade when he has the coverings up on the railings to protect him, and then Strider coming in a second time around, probably despite seeing his legs first, still didn't manage to find the kill, but a lot of that goes down to Ōkami and some excellent play. We are repeating what we saw back in round number 1, up to the top floor, running this SSG roam once again. Let's see how the defenders adapt, because last time, if you recall, they broke their way through construction hatch, got their way underneath it, forced the 2 defenders to drop and picked up 2 free and easy kills. So there has to be some adaptation from Ōkami here to deal with that threat if they're going to keep those defenders alive for longer than 90 seconds.
Yeah, once Knights finally were able to get to the site, there was really nothing that Ōkami could do. They managed to get one of those kills, pushing into Church, but because they were doubled up, wasn't really anything else. Very similar start to what we saw last time, and if it goes the way that it did back in round 1, then it could spell trouble for Ōkami. But you notice their roamers aren't in the same position. We don't have the Mozzie over here in server. In fact, he's all the way over on the other side of the map. All right.
Okay, he's gone for it, but he didn't die. I was just like, why? You know, they're there again, but he's got away with it, this time with his life.
Yeah, you can see they're actually playing it significantly safer here. The fact they made that rotate down to site that early, and now you've got everyone based down here in the basement.
The one fear I have about this is you've committed so much utility upstairs, jammers, pests, reinforcements, and now you're back down on site. Castle barricades as well, let's not forget, and you're losing a lot of key reinforcements downstairs.
I suppose the one thing that you can hope for in that situation is the fact that Knights still have to drone out those top 2 floors to ensure that the roamers aren't there. So it's almost a bit of a bait. They know that they're expecting this SSG-style roam. They haven't yet figured out where everyone is, and by the time they realize that the rotations have been made, it would be the normal time to move down anyway. So even though that utility has been expended, it might not be too terrible, only until it comes down to those last moments if Ōkami can't hold their own in those gunfights.
I'm curious to know if they had some flank drones watching main stairs and bar as well, because they would have seen the drops coming through in that case. The Mute no doubt got spotted, but it was the Mozzie I think they were unsure of. He went down main stairs, I think, to get back onto the site, or was lurking around kitchen. Not entirely sure, but I don't think they saw him drop. However, 60 seconds to go. They are in a spot where drones are downstairs. They know approximately where a lot of these defenders are playing. They know that these upstairs areas are now cleared out and should be able to go for a bit of progress. You saw Jack Daddy with a stolen drone there for a second inside of storage, being shot out by the Zofia. So this is where it comes down to the crunch. It's now all the information on the side of the attackers, and it's the defenders who need to react. They are inside of Moto. Open this wall should come through. A grenade sings in from Hayward to find one. C4 over the top will bring Dino down, but I think the damage was already done. This means that wall is going to get opened up.
And luckily being able to move out the way, and as you say, the church wall is open. That means that Josh wanted to move in to get blue, but there we go. There's going to be a trade out there as the QT does go down, and Ōkami once again find themselves on the back foot. Get rid of the proximity alarm so that your enemies don't know where you are, and hopefully you can push on in.
Trying to find their way through main stairs right here, but time is of the essence, Gio. 10 seconds to go, a 4 versus 1 for Knights. This should be them cleaning up house here, unless Jack Daddy can get in here and cause some trouble. Sadly, the diffuser is going down on the other side. My friend is in the back of Armory. Nothing he can do here in that 1vx situation. Knights taking round number 3, and I'd say this has started very well for them. They clearly know their stuff when it comes to breaking apart an SSG roam.
Ōkami evidently don't look particularly comfortable on defending this site, and I'm wondering that if they do decide to go back there at some point, they will go for a different strategy that doesn't involve that roam. First round, we saw them committing to the roam for a period of time that allowed the roamers to be picked off. Next round, we saw them rotating down to site before the 2-minute mark, or I suppose 1 minute down, but 2 minutes on the clock had even been hit, and they still weren't able to find that happy medium. We saw so much defensive presence down towards blue at the end because they wanted to prevent a push come in from Josh, who was on the Zafir, and obviously when you want to open the church wall, you also want to be having that Zafir come in from that side of the map, and even then, it was like they'd misdistributed their resources, which is something that we spoke about before, but it meant that that aggressive push coming in from the church wall side was all they needed, and while everyone else was worrying about the Zafir, suddenly you got all the attackers in your face.
It's almost like they didn't anticipate the drop into Moto and just weren't quite sure. I imagine this is really kind of hard for a coach as well. You put all this time into dry running an SSG roam and the ways that people can counter it. You come into a game against a team that you have slapped silly all season long and they just go, SSG roam, what a laugh, and find a way to beat it out so simply. So I agree with you. Maybe now they step away from playing that and say if it comes to playing downstairs, much like we saw in APAC North the other day, you opt to change it up a few times. I believe it was Giants who were changing 2 or 3 different strats while playing downstairs. I think that roam, even when you're playing on site for them there, clearly didn't work too well, so I'd like to see them commit more resources downstairs in the basement itself, rather than taking it off site. But here we are going to gym and bedroom, and a mirror is being brought along of all things. No big surprise for this site. It's not really a thing we've seen in Europe, but in some of the other regions, we do see a mirror being used to help hold the west wall, and often in towards Secret Stash, where you can see Mangoes right now getting it set down so they can keep a close eye on what's going on inside of the bedroom.
Yeah, I'd say the only European team we really saw this quite successfully was Vitality, who had some interesting ways of going about it. But you're right, it's definitely a lot more common to see it in APAC. Looks like Mangoes obviously positioned himself so he can use that open hole in the wall to hold back anyone who may be standing at the jacuzzi wall, which is now going to be opened there by Dino.
I like how he held on to this mirror just in case as well. Just thinking, well, if they aren't going to push through West Wall, I want to move it somewhere else, potentially. Could stick it inside a logistics office looking down into construction, as we saw G2 do against BDS over in Europe. But here it is going to be this western push to kick things off. There's only a couple of them doing it, mind you. 1 or 2 still up on the roofs, probably looking to go towards logistics at some point. That's normally where you'll see a sledge setting up. Hasn't just yet.
Well, one thing that you also have to remember is that because the Jaeger isn't there and you've got 4 frag grenades on the side of the attackers, they could, in theory, just throw that straight into the bathroom if you don't have those magnets there to protect you, especially if they can't later on be placed. So that does make the mirror's job significantly riskier if she can't get those early kills.
Trying to burn those magnets out as best they can. There's one singing in now, and it's gone red. The indicator not going to do any damage, actually, as he stepped away in good time. Didn't kill the mirror window, mind you, so they'll be able to hold themselves in place a little bit longer, but that was only 2 frag grenades come out, so 2 still remain. Sadly, Juicy no longer remains in this round. However, all the EMPs have been used, so I'd say it's not the end of the world to lose him at this point any earlier, and it could have cost them something. A spray comes out, but it's Dino who wins that pre-fire. Mango's going down, and that's the mirror removed. C4 in the back pocket, not anymore. Styles going to strike back against Hayward, so it's a 4 versus 3. Ōkami with a numbers advantage. Dino doing Dino things once more, grasping onto his enemies and ripping their heads off. Joker finds one back in response. A 2 versus 3. And for the Knights at a numbers disadvantage, and that timer waiting for no one. We're down to the final 45 seconds.
You can't forget the fact that Josh is still on the board, and so far he's been such a key player to be able to clinch things out at the end there. He's going to still remain alive, and JKR is just playing things patiently. Situated here behind the Vulcan shield, waiting to see what he can get. He does get stunned out, but he does also get Josh, leaving just Dino for Knights.
I was going to say it was really weird having one playing out to the west and one playing construction, no ability to trade. And, well, here it's a bit of a late trade, but Dino with a quadra kill coming out of nowhere. 1 versus 1, but he's against the big boy on the other side. It's Itby on the Valkyrie with only 10 seconds to go. Doesn't have a C4 in the back pocket, but a little bit of information can come in here. And all he's got to do is spray. Checks the wrong spot, and I think without a C4, this may have been a mistake, because now all the pressure lives on Itby head on the Valkyrie, whilst Dino is in a commanding position to get an ace.
He can use one of those shields as well for his own protection and be able to make rotations as required. Itby does have to go for this disable at some point, but there's such a risk if you don't do it before the opponent is killed. He's just waiting to see what he can get. Is he going to be able to make the pre-fire and successfully take this fight?
Oh!
Yes, he is! This Dino looks the wrong way! And Ōkami are going to be able to successfully disable the diffuser and take themselves the round.
Dino, don't worry, buddy. You're still Fragmite in my heart. Brilliant round coming out of the support player there to almost drag his team through. But sadly, the final boss of It Be Style just a little bit too hard. Back to the training grounds to level up there, I think. It's another round going the way of Ōkami. So it's 2-2 now. Still, I'd say a good start to the half, or start to the first half of the map for the side of PK, but it's all been on that one site. We're going to CCTV and Cache, the one that we have yet to see the attackers actually successfully take. The only one that's seen success on so far is the downstairs, and a lot of that has been on breaking apart that SSG roam.
I'm wondering if Pittsburgh are going to opt to go for a slightly different approach here. Obviously, they put so much of their stock into Garage and trying to remove the control of Garage. Now, we have seen some teams in the past completely forego that attempt and just focus elsewhere on the map. And I do wonder if they decide to do that. The really big problem that you have is because you don't have the Hibana who would usually come in through construction, you don't have as much of an option to be able to go in through that west side as well and do that more, I want to say, traditional way of moving in onto this side.
It's a very European thing to do, an East Breach and then into construction take. A lot of teams, I think in APAC especially, really like taking control of Garage. And that's kind of the, I don't want to say the old way of doing things because there is no real old way, like there's different ways of doing things, but that's where the lean seems to come in. The one thing I'll always say for this site is you need to have two compass directions of control. It's very easy to get the east, you take open that CCTV wall, problem solved. You can take the west window, but jumping in through a window, as we all know, locks you into an animation. If someone is holding to the north inside a cache, it's the easiest kill in the world. Spray at the window, the person jumping in is going to die, and with the control of Garage being with the defenders, they can do what you're going to see It Be Style doing now, I imagine, just sitting and watching the breach angle through the window. That is why you will see so much attention going into Garage. What we need to see this time, though, is Strider and Hayward take Garage together and collectively nade out It Be Style, because he got a 3K here last time. That cannot happen again.
Well, I was going to say, when we came to this site before, the big concern that you and I both had was the fact that there is no Jaeger, and maybe that would be the downfall of the defenders. And in fact, that didn't end up being the case because It Be Style was so good at his job. So as you say, you want Strider and Hayward to be working together so they can get a lot of value out of those frag grenades, which in theory shouldn't be able to be impeded quite as much as they would be if a Jaeger were to be played on the defense.
I do love those more like conventional bans, things like the Mute and the Jaeger that just change the way teams play the game entirely, because you just can't run the sort of strats that you would normally like to. Me too. I like it when there's intel. I like it when teams know who they can push and pre-fire because it looks sick on the camera.
I just love it when there's not a Thatcher ban.
Great for a highlight reel. I think I kind of agree. Everyone for the longest time was like, oh, Thatcher bans just slow the game down. It becomes really boring. But what I do like is it's leading to a lot of things like Maverick play and then counters to Mavericks and things like C4s. And it does give up a new, or at least open up a new style of playing the game. And speaking of style, he's holding inside a garage. Oh, there we go. Distraction coming through breach. Distraction from below. And Juicy creeps up and finds his third opening kill of the map.
So preoccupied about trying to place those magnets that they were able to just take him straight down. And look how swift this control of Garage has been taken. So many pre-fires able to be shone through by Juicy, as Dino isn't far behind. He's doing all of the hard work. Mangoes and It's Be Cutie have to be a little bit further behind. And JKR is going to be rotating upstairs as well to try and prepare himself for this push.
You can see what the plan is here. They've got 3 members inside a Garage. Now they've got control. They have the control outside of CCTV breach, and the diffuser is in hand. Strider has it, so can go for a plant in the default spot. Got to be mindful of any C4s singing out from any of the 3 members that hold them on the other side. For now, it's going to come down entirely to the smoke canisters. I love that Strider's making this small little adaptation here as well. Forget about going through the window. Forget about going through the breach. Instead, he is just going to open up a little hole for himself while breaking into a bank and go for the plant. Can he stick this one out before he dies, mind you? Yes, he can. In fact, he wasn't even being hit by the gas there. Did take a couple of ticks, but the diffuser is down. C4 comes out. This could be the freest kill in the world. There we go. Strider goes down a second. C4s are singing swinging around the site. 2 kills come through for the defenders, but it's Dino from long range, once again encouraged by Josh out towards the east, and this is so difficult for the defenders to do anything about. Knights with an almost flawless execution onto CCTV cache.
Now, one thing that I'm learning about Knights here is if you keep their fragmite up,
He frags.
Yeah, he'll frag.
Who'd have thought?
I know. And just being able to hold on to that long angle from the other end of the garage rafters did mean that even though those C4s came out and got the kills that they wanted onto the site, it was still virtually impossible for Ōkami to actually move into... what's this? Why are they going here? What's this? No,
I just stood at Gio and pulled a really disappointed face. I was just like, man, again? Okay. I mean, look, we're seeing improvement between the rounds. The first round, they lost 2 on the drop. The next round, they successfully got everyone back to site.
It's still the same lineup.
But they didn't respect the Moto drop was the big one. So what I want to see is making sure they've got a couple of goo mines in there, a couple of cameras around potentially. Anything that gives you the indication of where the attack is coming from is going to give them so much more lean. That being said, they did drop Moto and then planted in the back of Armory. So it's kind of a bait and switch in a way. So from the defenders here, we need to see a bit more pace on the adaptation, on where they're moving people around to, what angles they're going to be watching once they understand what's going on, because I feel that's what really caught them out last time. By the time they could deal with the back plants and Armory, they were in a 1 versus 3. Good luck doing much about it then.
I mean, look, if Knights are going to just drop through Moto and rush through that way, then what you need, you have your goo mines, then you put a frost mat under, and then Capcan booby trap so they can't walk through the doors.
Is this the advice you
You're welcome. If any... Milo, she's telling me to get out the studio. No. I'm a coach now.
Get back into them ranked games and tell them to run Frost. People will be like, yeah.
Well, no, as you say, Derry, they've obviously not been respecting, as you say, the Moto drop, and they haven't always been super prepared for it. I mentioned it, and the last time they came here, they really put so much manpower in trying to hold on to blue, and that didn't end up being the biggest of their concerns. Straight away, drones are going to be lost there from Knights. At this point, you would hope that you wouldn't be losing drones to Mozzie Pest, but that's 1 on the board there for Ōkami.
This mute dropped already. Can we just have a look over for us? I don't know who's observing this game. I really should have damn asked. It's medics or easy. It's one of the two. I'll just say easy. It's easy. My boy easy. Okay, I've been told it's easy. We're all good. I think the mute is already... Yeah, everyone's already dropped back to site. So I like this is kind of like a bait setup, right? They've done the full work upstairs and then just got themselves back onto site. But because of the mute jammers, because of the Mozzie, because of the shotgun holes upstairs, the amount of time it takes to do those things, it should bait the attackers into spending a little bit of time on the top floor. That being said, they seem to already have an idea. Maybe they've got drones on sites. If you are committing those jammers and pests upstairs, you don't have many to block the attackers from finding out who's actually playing on the side at the time. So they should be able to ignore the top floor for the most part. That being said, Style has crept his way up from the main stairs. Knife it. Stealthy.
That's exactly what I was thinking here, is it means that Knights fall into a false sense of security that they've cleared out the roam, and now they have to worry about the fact that there is someone else upstairs, and he's crouching all the way through, but Fragno, Fragmite, Dino, not far away. They're actually going to
Fragno. Did you really just go that far?
You know, I was just like...
You could call him Thermo or something. I don't know.
I can't
kind of
think
relates
that
to
fast.
Thermite and his name.
I can't think that fast.
It's first thing in the morning. We haven't had breakfast
Yeah, it's
yet.
really early here. I just went to look at my watch, and I'm not wearing a watch.
Okay, that's... It really is that early in the morning
What
for Gio.
time is it? Okay, it's 20 to 11 in the morning.
That's no excuse
for a lot of
anymore.
people, that's late. Either way, we'll go with Fragno. He wasn't far away, but now he is. He's had time to get away, so didn't matter in the end anyway.
Check a watch that you aren't wearing. Brilliant. Style is still upstairs at 45 seconds to go. I'm surprised there hasn't been a push down some stairs or a drop anywhere. Almost finding a kill onto one inside of blue here from Josh. And the drone will be telling him there's a ping on his head saying, hey, there's a guy standing here. He needs to die. Please come and kill him. But being very mindful, in fact, of him potentially being upstairs because he's pulled right back. Can see where there's a little gun hole being opened up here as well, potentially by his Style. Maybe it was by the mute earlier on. And here we go. He's going to try and challenge this one. I think he may have just saw him. Out comes the C4 down the hole and connects onto Josh. I hope to God he screamed fire in the hole of that opportunity. Juicy getting the plant down, mind you. And here comes the push back in towards site. Once more, it's an Armory push. It's a 4 versus 3. The numbers advantage sits right now with the defenders, but can they get the retake? Juicy gets one. Traded back out a second later. It's a 1 versus 3. Knights are about to lose everything. One kill comes through, but the trade is there. Unfortunately, Jack Daddy with 2 big kills at the end, and there will be finally a successful SSG roam defense by Ōkami.
No, that's it. Ōkami finally, after all of the toil and trouble at the end of their defending half, do get a successful Church Arsenal hold in their pockets. And it obviously was really key that they did make those adaptations. They decided to send that late roam all the way back up to the top floor. And that did mean that Josh couldn't just focus on the job that he wanted to do. He couldn't just shoot in down blue and push down blue, because once they knew exactly where he was, he had to be aware of any flanks behind him. If he had just shot in through the soft wall, maybe he would have been able to get Ibistar, but he doesn't want to give away his location. He doesn't want to take too many risks. He decided to go down Oil Pit. C4 followed him up. Got a nice little explosion in there. Something
I'd love to
see.
watch that back. It's almost like a full, it's like a full 3-floor C4 essentially. It's beautiful.
Because the thing is, you know that if it were you, you would have thrown the C4 and it would have landed on like the motorcycles or something like that, and you'd have to run down, pick it up, and be like, no, come back, come
or
back.
on the railing in front of you, and you panic and just keep massing G like quick, bang, and before you know it, you've killed yourself. Absolutely.
That's exactly it.
The big key thing there was if Zofia had stayed alive and got herself down in oil, pushed up into blue, the cut you would have had straight through into hallway through the rotation that was inside of blue would have been massive, or pushing up towards AKs to support the team. That could have changed the outcome of that round for them. But unfortunately, being picked up by Style on the roam, again, one of those small things that happen in these rounds that really influence the outcome. We change halves, mind you, 3-3. I'd say that's a very successful attacking half coming out for the Pittsburgh Knights, given how things have gone before. And here we go. That's Kobe, sitting around to the left of the ladder. Bye-bye. Almost straight on his head as well. Ouch.
Oh, it's just brutal. Because at that point, once you know what's happened, it's too late for you.
What would your battle cry be if you were throwing a C4 from that high? Was it like death from above, or
no, probably just
Kobe?
Because I can't think of anything imaginative.
Mass G, explode. That's how it works.
No, mine would probably contain quite a bit of profanity that I can't repeat on this broadcast. What would yours be?
Yours would be, I effing got him. It's like, yes, you got him, well done. Mine, no, turn around, cool guys, don't look at explosions, and walk away back in towards cash. Try and be as cool as
I think it's really adorable when you try hard to be cool, because you're not like very cool in person.
Cool. It's dad cool.
Yeah.
Everyone else laughs.
The fact that I know that you're dad cool is you wear T-shirts with your own business's logo on it.
They're easy and cheap, man.
Yeah, but it's still not cool.
I don't care. It means it's one more decision taken out of the day.
I'm Dory. I'm a CEO, by the way.
Just like the T-shirts, bro. Don't hate on the T-shirts.
Well, hatch has been opened, and it's actually a really similar defense here from Knights as far as like the operator lineup goes, what you want to be going for. It's going to be a bit more roamy, but so far, about halfway through the round, and Ōkami still haven't gotten anything. Everyone has actually returned back to the site. So again, quite an early rotation down. Like,
not looking to play the same thing because they had that Moto hatch reinforced, and in fact, pretty much all these hatches have been opened pretty darn quickly. So good on the attackers so far. You're seeing 2 sets of frags being brought out, exactly as the same as we saw coming out of the Knights. And I think even if you weren't expecting a Jaeger band to come through, you're just like, man, C4, not C4 City, Nade City coming in. Let's make sure we have those on side. And it's about how many of those we can find, because I actually think in the first half, we saw more C4 kills than we did grenade kills. And that is crazy when a Jaeger is banned away.
It is kind of odd, because it's not necessarily what you'd expect. And it's a testament to the fact that Wamai has been played pretty well so far. And obviously, we're yet to see how Strider does show up in that role compared to how Ibistar was playing when he was on it. Now, there's a C4 going to be coming out from the mute, but it's not quite going to get anyone, as Ibicutie's a little bit far away, and Mangoes is all the way pushed up to the
Oh, he shot it out. There was a C4 that came over the top of the Ash Rush wall there that called out towards Mangoes, but he saw it in good time, must have heard the rip, and made sure he was more than prepared. So good for them to deal with both C4s coming out of the defenders. This should now just be down to the execute and down to winning these critical gunfights.
I'm wondering if Ibistar is going to be heading towards Oil Pit, because we did just see one of his drones get shot out, and there we go. He's moving down blue from that direction, deciding not to go in through the stairs as where he was positioned beforehand. He has been deterred somewhat by the smoke canisters, but Ōkami are going to have to move on forward. Looks like they are going to be going in for the plant as kill comes out from each side, but just a few seconds remaining.
Trying to find what they can do in a 4 versus 2 for the attacking side here. Juicy finds a massive kill onto Starl up in all, though, so now he can turn his attention back towards the site. But with the diffuser down, there's work to do. A frag grenade sings through, not quite connecting onto Strider. But a 2 versus 2 now as Juicy finds himself yet another one onto Jack Daddy. However, Mango's bringing down Juicy. That's a combo if you ever saw one before. Not much they can do. Ōkami take round number 7. Bit of a flurry there at the very end, but it's Ōkami with that win I think is the crucial one to talk about, because let's not forget how successful they've been on this map previously and how their result went against Pittsburgh Knights last time they played.
Well, that's exactly it, is the fact that you can, we said Pittsburgh Knights, they had a pretty good first half on this map, but if Ōkami can actually pull this very much into their favor, now they're on the attack, they could end up running away with it. And we know that Ōkami like to play historically a relatively aggressive playstyle. They've made some effort in recent times to be a bit more structured in the way that they do that. But the point is when they actually get into those face-to-face situations, they have been able to take a decent number of those gunfights that really matter at that point. And obviously, after having so many issues defending this site, it's nice to see them do well on the attack.
So I see things switching around, but we'll see how it plays out. PK did win their first round in the last half, so it's only natural that on the switching side you see the same come about.
It's fair.
It has been very back-to-back, to be fair. Rounds 1, 3, and 5 were all won by the Pittsburgh Knights, and then rounds 2, 4, and 6, obviously, won by Ōkami.
Can I say the name of that team, the one with two?
Huh? Pittsburgh Knights.
Pittsburgh. Why are you saying it like you're from Bristol? It's Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh. Oh, no. So we don't say.
Hey, my best friend's from Pittsburgh.
We don't say Edinburgh in the UK, though, do we?
No, we don't. You don't pronounce the G. It's just Pittsburgh.
10 seconds remaining.
It's not Pittsburgh.
Why do Americans have to ruin everything in my life?
I'm from Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh.
5 seconds left.
Oh, I'm from Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh, lad.
Oh, it's better than Pennsylvania, isn't it?
Attackers' objective is to locate
Not Pennsylvania,
a bomb.
Philadelphia. Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's in Pennsylvania.
Where are you going with that?
Philadelphia's what
like,
I meant.
I'm trying
It's
to connect
because
the
everywhere.
dots.
What is it with everywhere in Pennsylvania beginning with P?
I don't know.
Oh, well, I don't know either.
Ask
That's
whoever named it all
that's
those
why we're
years
coming
ago.
over to A and Z, because it's they don't have these problems.
I guarantee there's some wacky stuff with namings going on down there as well.
Yeah, I'm sure you're right.
I just can't say I spend much of my life staring at a map and looking at names and saying, oh man, those two are weird names. I read geometric sometimes and that looks like a weird name.
Whose name's that? I don't know that.
I don't know her
That's
either.
not my name. My name's Geo. All right. Well, obviously, Knights decided that they want to be having a second attempt at this site. It's something we see a little bit more in APAC, is a lot of teams, after losing a defensive round, they will go back to the same site for at least one more try. They've changed things up slightly, bringing along the Goyo as well. You've still got the smoke too, so maybe a little bit more of a kind of anchor style.
Oh, the whole thing just screams anchor play here. Maybe you look towards Hayward and say, he does a style thing, he goes on the roam again. In case you just guessed, I am missing out the it-be part, because there's just so many of those on the team that I've been saying. It'd be my most said phrase all so far today. We shall, don't worry. So Star was in a spot where I was saying he was playing that roam game, he was getting kills from upstairs, or the 1C4 kill that we see, the critical one in that round. Speaking of him, finds himself a kill onto Strider at the start of the round. It's the Wamai gone. And Strider is having a rough game so far.
Yeah, he really has been.
He's been bullied.
And especially when you want to be relying on the Wamai staying up because of the Jaeger ban, it just puts you in such a position of vulnerability. There are 3 frag grenades remaining on the side of Ōkami, and no more of those magnets are going to be available to the defending team. And if you have everyone downstairs, it does mean they're all going to be pushed up together. Juicy getting ready. He's not going to shoot the drone until he knows that they have seen him. He just wants to be sure that he can catch out whoever it may be coming in through blue. Narrowly misses the frag grenade, and so he's going to be with.
Oh, Josh. Oh, no. Pokeballed himself to death. Unfortunate. Hayward, holding a little bit closer, brings Mangoes down to somewhat offset the blow they just endured. There's still 2 men down, though, on the defensive side. Make that 3 as Stahl strikes against Juicy. 4 versus 2, and quite a bit of time to play with here. 35 seconds. One of these sites should be able to come in their control. The big worry they've got is that Knights are currently in possession of the diffuser. It's in that church wall breach, and now it's a game of droning. Where are we going to set ourselves up? What can we decide to do given the situation we're in? It's Jack Daddy trying to push down main stairs. 1 in blue. It's Stahl once more on this Sophia. What work he's been doing down in oil, and of course here on blue stairs itself. A 3 versus 1. They just got to pre-fire him. It's as easy as that. Ōkami taking the first for the first time consecutive rounds on their side of the map. That's kind of 3 in a row. It's starting to walk towards Ōkami's side.
Yeah, and I would expect at this point Pittsburgh Knights to decide that they want to go elsewhere. I wouldn't want to see them return to that same site. And one of the really concerning things about that is that we saw them attempt a roam style and then we saw them attempt an anchor style and both failed. And that really shows weaknesses and cracks in your armor that the attacking team are then going to know that they can exploit later on. They don't have to worry so much about going up against a completely different style of play that's going to be a problem for them. And they have, of course, decided that they are going to be going to a different site. Switching out the, well, yeah, exactly. Switching out the smoke on the 6-pick, that's going to be going to a Maestro. Not only is that going to give them a little bit more information, but also a great weapon to play with, but I suppose it does still have plant denial, because of course the Evil Eyes, they have those lasers. You can shoot someone who's going for the plant, but it's not the same as having those smoke canisters.
There's one thing I wanted to touch on the last round. The reason why we're seeing so much focus towards dropping into Moto and in towards the church area is because blue is now almost impossible to play inside of. It's very common when you have a Jaeger to stick in behind the generator, or stack as some teams call it, and have him basically do an ADS trick where he's standing there, and as soon as grenades start ringing in from Stark or from blue stairs, you're popping that ADS on the stack, it's protecting you, and it makes it... What is that sound effect?
You said popping on an ADS, so I popped.
So you popped. Okay, fine, whatever. You're in a spot where grenades are very easy to catch out, and you can afford to have someone playing inside of blue. But with the Wamai being the only choice you've got, it's not enough. It's not going to deploy in time to stop you being fragged out. That's why you're barely seeing any players actually playing in there defensively, because you're only going to get yourself, well, destroyed if you try and sit there. So it makes a lot more sense for the attackers to take that ground, cover into church, and then look for a plant inside there, or at least start there on their attack when they come for a drop, because it's pretty easy to secure.
And it's interesting as well that we saw some pretty decent droning come out from Ōkami on that last round. They always had a good idea as to where the defensive team were. And so the defenders, of course, deciding to go for their own utility game here, because they brought along the Pulse and Valkyrie to join the Maestro as well. So lots of cameras going to be working on their side. And especially if they do decide to come in a similar way of attacking to how Pittsburgh were, having the Pulse from below or from above in a different kind of vertical position could provide a different direction of information that will, of course, facilitate their hold.
I was going to say those two cameras we saw, the one inside construction and one outside, were so pivotal because they can see everything going on in the west window. They can see who's pushing through construction. It means then the only thing you're relying on, I guess, air quotes, being blind on is things like Garage and that East Breach, which there may have been a third camera around to help with that purpose. So I like that with the IQ being on side for Jack Daddy, they're able to deal with all of this utility and no doubt spotted themselves yet another camera inside of construction to be removed. So they're playing blind right now, except for, of course, the Evil Eyes that are on site. And Juicy's just sat at the top, laying that out of the fire line down into construction to deal with those drones that are peeking their way in. Haven't lost too many just yet on the side of Ōkami, but want to make sure they're being preserved for later in the round when you do need that critical intel. However, a very European take coming in here. Construction has been opened up, Gio.
That's exactly what I was going to say, is they have decided to do that rather than focusing on the garage as Pittsburgh Knights did. He's also got those other players a little bit further behind, so they can provide the support as they begin to move in. Now, Josh is going to make this rotation up because they know that these players are going to be coming in from the west.
Hey.
And it's going to be It's Be Cutie opening things up with the frag grenade, something we've been looking for a little bit more in this game, Des.
I do wonder. Imagine they're all down inside a garage right now because he wants to keep himself alive, but not a single one inside a cache lets that grenade ring in for free and pick them up a kill that, in most situations, would there be a Jaeger, that would not be found. So a nice free one to kick things off. It puts us into a 5 versus 3, and Ōkami still continuing this trend of attacking dominance here on Clubhouse.
Look at this. This could be very ballsy here from Strider, but in the meantime, JKR is going to be going down. That's the first attacker to fall. Not yet quite enough to weaken them, to bring the man disadvantage to even, but nonetheless something that they were desperately looking for. There are the pings as those shots try to be made here by Strider, but it's so difficult when you have so much in the way. Plant going down, but that's going to be denied there by Josh, and now the rest of the attackers have to move in. That's going to be a shot taken there by Jack Daddy, who ends Josh's reign, and it really looks like the attackers are going to have this one.
Doesn't have the C4, but does have the cardiac sensor, and they know the plant's going down. All he's got to do is spray through the floor, and Strider, mentioned him earlier on, not having the best game. Sometimes all it comes down to is one round, and doing the good work from downstairs right there, even in a 2 versus 1, able to close that out for his team.
Well, I stand corrected. He was able to do it. And it comes back to, you know, what I was saying about having the pulse. You can play him below, what they decided to do. He went on a little bit of a a journey at some point. Looked like he was going to be trying to go on some strange angles, but obviously at the end it allowed them to pull through, be able to know exactly where that plant had to be made. And of course, when you were able to deny the initial plant, you know where the diffuser is, because it's very unlikely that the attackers are going to be able to pick it up or move it elsewhere, anything like that. You really have to flock around that site that has already been set up for you by the fight that prevented the plant in the first place. So it wasn't very much for him to be able to know where that was at the end there, even though Ōkami did look like they had a relatively decent attack for a lot of that in terms of keeping the man advantage, keeping Knights very, very pressured. It just didn't work out at the end.
Round number 10. Gym and Bedroom, going to be the first time we're seeing these boys defend on this site. Bit of a difference to how Ōkami did it. No mirror being brought out, but we are seeing the electrification coming through. In this case, you needed a replay of what a dot on a screen looks like. Hey, it's a heartbeat. Guess what? Spray there and someone is going to die. Even had the added help of a ping from his team. All too easy and a straight headshot as well. I was going to say, I thought he died very quickly, and I was like, how's he killed him in literally one bullet? Was he low HP? Didn't think he was. It's a headshot. Insta-kill. Unlucky.
That's a shame. It's very sad to...
Because it was close as well, right? Because I think it was like, what, a couple of seconds left on the plant timer?
Yeah. It
hadn't been a headshot, the damage soak that comes out of that, and given the fact it's a UMP, that probably was going down.
Yeah, it was very, very low in terms of time remaining. But now, Pittsburgh Knights are going to be coming over to Gym and Bedroom. This is the first time that they've come here. And once again, we're seeing a different strategy be adopted from them as opposed to what Ōkami did. Instead of bringing the mirror, they've decided to go for the bandit and electrify that jacuzzi wall. Obviously, if you're not running a Thatcher, this can be kind of hard to remove because you can't shoot out the floor from below them. So typically you have to come in from another angle. And one of the angles that you would want to come in from is the server.
Easy. There's a game that I love to play in the UK, and it's called Find the Castle Barricades. I found two, but where's the third?
Well, which of the two you found?
I found the one that was on the window coming in from Gym, and the one that was on the south window in Bedroom.
There was one on the stairs.
There we go.
Right there. That's
wonderful.
That was the only one I saw put down, actually. So
I love playing mini games with observers.
That's cute.
Let's follow the grenades, follow the C4, find the castle barricades.
Follow Easy on Twitter, EasyR6S.
Hey, I like it. There you go, Easy. That's all you're getting from us this week.
Yeah,
sorry.
That's your shout.
It's about as far as you get.
Right.
Taking from construction, I was going to say from CCTV into construction is going to be the plan. But for Ōkami, this is the extended hold that you'd normally see out of teams defending this site. Knights have got themselves inside a cache and CCTV, just looking to waste time, waste utility for the attackers. So when it does come to the execute in towards the site itself, well, you're left a little bit high and dry. You might have a couple of grenades left, maybe one or two breaches if you really need them. Not that you do, as there is only a single doorway to come in via construction, but maybe you also want control of logistics at the same time. And you can see how aggressively the defenders are holding right now. Dino and Josh just both standing at this doorway like doormen to a club saying you aren't allowed in. However, they've gone in through the back door. They found the side window into construction. Josh has been removed and Dino has had to back away. So like that, construction is cleared out.
That's so unnecessarily easy as well, given the fact that Jack Daddy was just standing outside the window and they had those angles covered. Obviously, Dino able to get away with his life simply by running away. That means Knights are going to have to reset up the defense here. And obviously a lot of pressure here on Strider, who's just trying to watch out for Bedroom, knowing that many of those attackers will be moving in from the east.
It's all about time. 30 seconds remain, and they're only really in a spot where they've managed to get control of construction here, and even then, they're not 100% sure what's going on inside of logistics. They have 3 or 4 members playing out towards the west and on the south balcony, so we're having this multi-angled attack starting to get set up, but it's all about the window play right now. How well can the defenders hold on? Not very, apparently, as the south bedroom defense has been shattered by Jack Daddy here. Second one comes through as Style finds a kill onto Dino. A 4 versus 2, 5 seconds to go, but they kill the planter through bedroom window. This is the kind of thing they need, and no one's there to recover. C4 comes out, but even with a triple kill at the end and Jack Daddy to get the closing kill, it's not enough to win the round. Looks like Knights just about hold on.
And it shows that sometimes all it takes is actually being able to get that key player that makes the attack so infinitely harder, especially when you're on a time pressure quite like that. Now sitting at 5-5 scoreline, and I have to say this is very reminiscent of yesterday, where what we saw was all of us thinking one team was going to be winning, and actually it came a little...
Queen Liz. Or as Demo would say, Big Liz. We love Big Liz.
man. Okay, well, I'm sure Demo does love Big Liz. But we love Siege, and we're back in the game now.
Yes, Geo, yes, we are. And indeed, I should have written down basement earlier on because we are going down there. What a surprise. It's the only one, of course, left. Well, unless you really want to torture yourself and play bar. No one likes to play bar. I think we saw it employed once in LATAM, and it didn't go well.
Yeah,
or was it used once and it did go well because no one had a clue how to attack it? In the old days, you'd just bring a Monty, push yourself inside a stock door, and then plant behind the Monty. It was as simple as that. And teams did start doing weird adaptations when they played it. I think a couple of teams did, where it was opening up the double wall that goes between stock and bar and just looking to shoot at legs as they walked in through stock doorway. And that led to a whole strip around the pool table. You never really talk about pool table or strip on this map unless someone's going for a run out. That's about as far as it ever goes. It's just an untouched area of the map.
That's because that's where all the secrets are.
Look, I've never seen this area of the map before. I'm so glad we're being shown it.
Oh, you're such a good boy. Such a good Christian boy. That's why.
No one ever plays here. That's why. Unless like it's in a ranked game and someone's playing Cav and just waiting for like the final minute to come running behind you, and that's about it.
5 seconds
Well,
remaining.
this is not a ranked game. This is
not.
This is a big important game.
It is.
Which I believe is the official name that Ubisoft wanted us to use.
The big important game.
Yes. And as we suspected, Pittsburgh Knights have decided that they're going to be playing something somewhat different. In fact, bringing along the...
Can I just appreciate how many Pokeballs they've brought?
Yeah, there's quite a few. That's, well...
I mean, you can carry
six
six in your back pocket. That's how many Pokemon you can carry.
True.
The rest go straight to your PC. Bill's PC.
What's your favourite Pokemon?
Pikachu, obviously.
Oh yeah,
Look at my name. Come on.
That's some real scene kid stuff right
It's
there.
so easy.
Yeah, no.
I used to be obsessed with Pokemon Yellow and then lost it in a wacky warehouse. Genuinely, I cried. I'd put so much time into that game. Fun fact, I didn't know how to get through into the first gym and probably got my Pikachu to level 24 before I even fought an Onyx.
All right, for this round we've casted more Pokemon than we have Siege. So I think
They've lost 2 Pokemon, they're already down and out.
yeah.
It's a traumatic experience, okay?
But obviously the fact that Knights have decided to change things up is very important because of the failures that they did have defending this on the first 2 times that they came to this site. But once again, already seeing Ōkami be pretty quick with opening up the hatches, which is exactly what we saw last time.
The hatches being open is the big deal for them, and normally you'd lean on something like a mirror to get that a banner to get that done for you. I don't know how long Mirror would be able to open up hatches for.
I love it when she does that.
Oh, it just annoys me in these games
No,
when all the mirrors focus
open,
on is
we
that.
can just see through them.
Exactly. But no, they have got the one open here. They've got the right amount of fuel left as well on Joker to be able to get the second one up if they want. They had the bar, they had the one inside of stock. So again, focus around blue. Understandably, as we said earlier on, you can't play inside there for long as a defender without something like a Jaeger. Where Strider is playing now is good. You're going to see him playing that role that you would normally see a Jaeger fit into. My concern is that when all these grenades start singing in, we've got a few flashes on side, you've got the frags, you've got the stuns coming out of the Zofia as well. There are a lot of tools on side to make this happen. This is where you're going to see a trick coming in. Should be able to get rid of the exothermic far too easy. And now they won't be able to get that wall open unless Joker can get down here and commit the remaining fuel towards getting the church wall open.
That is obviously incredibly risky. You still do have the C4 being held onto by the Mute. Well, as I say that, he does throw it on out, which does mean that if you did want to use Joker to open it, you don't have to worry about that, even though there are still 2 impact grenades in the pocket of...
Oh, he deployed it in time. Perfect. So they managed to get around both of all the Zofia utility coming out and still get the magnets down in good time. Well played by Strider to hold on, but here comes this execute in towards sight. Feels like a while since we've seen a big execute like this. Stepping through, pushing to blue, comes out. Strider finds a kill back, 3 versus 3. Style with a trade though, 2 versus 3. Knights on the defensive side, 3 versus 2 for the attackers, and that plant is going down yet again inside of Armory. So despite all the focus in blue, it's clearly not where a plant wants to go down. Good cover coming through. Plant has not gone down into the final few seconds. Where is Hayward? What can he do? He's creeping his way forward. Does he know he sees him out? Sprays him down, and somehow Pittsburgh Knights will be able to take the round. 3 on the bounce, and round number 12 is where we are now headed. If this round goes the way of PK, wow, they have won the first map, and what a result that would be.
Yeah, evidently both of these teams really struggling to defend that site until it comes to the 3rd time round for whatever reason. What's nice to see is that both of them did actually make adaptations each time. Obviously, we saw exactly what happened there with Pittsburgh, and it has put them straight onto match point, which isn't necessarily where we expected them to be here for this first map. That's going to be making them feel a lot more confident as they move on over to CCTV, which I would fairly wager is a site that they feel more comfortable with. But what you have to remember is when they did win CCTV last time, it was really by the skin of their teeth in those last couple of seconds where the Pulse was able to seek out the planter and get the headshot from below. And if it hadn't been the headshot, as you said before, Derry, maybe things would have gone in the way of Ōkami.
What I like about Strider is he didn't spend the whole round downstairs. He actually played quite sensibly and was on site for the most part and waited until numbers had dwindled, when drones were at a minimum in the field, and then chose to make the move downstairs. So it's the smart moments like that that are really going to influence the outcome of these rounds. C4 wasn't available to him last time round as he'd expended it a little bit earlier. Let's see if he holds on to it this time round and waits for the plant to come in. There are 3 C4s on side, so would expect him to play around the intel he could feed, or of course, around those 2, or maybe 5 cameras in this case, the Black Eyes plus the Evil Eyes.
And of course, Josh is bringing the Bandit again this time. We did see that on Gym Bedroom, but this time heading on over to the east side of the map. Once again, wall denial, but you are going to be playing against the Thatcher, so they can be EMP'd out. You could shoot them out from below, but it's unnecessary when you do have Thatcher on your side. So it could still be that Ōkami are able to open up that server wall pretty swiftly, as we saw them do last time.
Should be free enough. Maverick is always there if they need it. I probably would expect them to see commit 1 exothermic towards this wall. If that is failed or something happens, you stick the Maverick on it and you rotate the Thermite instead over to playing on Construction. The problem with Construction is the fact that you can impact trick it. So if they do choose to go for exothermics onto that wall, you've got to be so mindful of what comes out of the defensive side, because if you lose both of those, suddenly this round becomes a lot tougher, and instead you're then forced to go and take something like Garage. And when you commit to taking East Wall and Construction and then have to move to Garage, by then you're looking at the final 30 seconds or so. It's not so easy.
Well, not yet. At 30 seconds. Ooh, that could have been a close one. It's a good job that it got spotted there by his teammate, and that does mean that the Maverick can just continue on. But he could just find himself getting shot here, and that's exactly what happens. Josh securing himself that kill, and that's going to weaken up Ōkami as they push on in.
I'll never forget Virtus Pro back in week 1 with Emission constantly trying to get the wall open, and every single round he was getting C4'd. So much so that Reaper then went and made a video about it, where you can play this angle that you're looking at with Mangoes now. Play upside down and repel. The C4s won't catch you if you throw them towards the wall as it's being opened up. Trying to get the wall open right now. Will it get tricked out in time? No, it will not. So they have managed to get it done, but a second kill comes out. The Maverick is gone, so your total reliance, of course, is on Mangoes here to swing round and get the Construction wall open. That is, of course, unless they want to try and fight against Haywood and his Fireflies, as you can see, all attached to the roof.
I have to say, we did wonder if that wall was just going to be opened up pretty quickly. You said it could be free, but actually it cost them a lot of time to be able to get to that point. As you say, the impact trick is going to be attempted, but it's not going to work, and that does mean that the exothermic opens up the Construction wall nice and easily, but still just 2 members remaining now of Ōkami as they continue to be gunned down. Just Mangoes. He's carrying the diffuser, but he's got to go up against the full team, and that gives Knights a flawless round, finding themselves on match point and now finding themselves with a win of the first map. Des, not necessarily what we expected, but certainly not complaining.
Absolutely not. Really good final 4-round rally coming out of the Pittsburgh Knights there. I think after the first 2, as we said, basement not going so well, Ōkami taking both of those, we were both like, this is swinging towards Ōkami, exactly as we would have expected, but Knights with a brilliant rally. No doubt the work they've been doing in the last few months